I recently brought up a topic that I said I would never talk about again. And in doing so, I set the world on fire. Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture, guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, take some time to do so. We're going to get right into this video, folks. We are a very strange species, I will say. And I'm going to put my thesis statement out there in regards to what this video is really going to try to address. And that is we as humans, we as people have come so far from being able to critically think and decipher fact from opinion, and really even from opinion from like cognitive biases. I do want to say this before I get into this topic. Opinions should always be sound opinions, fortified in research, in fact. Like, anybody can have opinion. Like, I can have opinion that says, well, I don't believe water's wet. But what kind of weight does that opinion hold? Not very much, because you could take that opinion and go to a body of water, put your hand in the water, and it gets wet. So my opinion then holds no weight. What are we doing with our opinions, folks? And why can we not separate opinion from fact when it comes to the simple question of appearances in comic books? And I did this video about a week ago. I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't do it anymore, but this had to stop, and I brought up this post that our good friend Deshaun did on YouTube, really talking about, the issue between what does it mean to have a first cameo appearance or a first full appearance, etc. We obviously have the Wolverine scenario, and he used the Venom scenario. And boy, did it just unlock Pandora's box, which, I knew it was going to happen. But I pinned a comment here from a friend of the channel, Vintage Bob. As you can see, there's 30 replies. We're going to get into that. I do want to go over a few comments with you guys, just to add a little bit of context from different points of views and opinions. And I'm also going to end this video with really 4 bullet points that I want you all to take in. And when we get into the comment section again, because yes, I want to set the world on fire again, I guess, by continuing this conversation. But I want us to hone in. So those of you watching, before you respond in the comments, I want us to hone in. I just don't want us to be like, oh, this is first full, or this is the first appearance. This is the first appearance. Cameo does it. Like, let's not go there. I want you all to put on your critical thinking caps, and I want us to hone in on specific details that are your opinions on what I'm talking about. All right, we're going to get to that, though. We are going to get to that. Let's look at a few comments here from this video. Now, of course, it would help if you watched this video to know exactly the point that I made in the video. I'm not going to rehash it all here. This is a good one here. Copy 801 says, first full appearance is Hulk 180. We get a full body image with the name and the character speaking. Now, this is something that I want you guys to take note. All right, class is in session right now. Copy 801 has an argument about first cameo appearance, first full appearance, and states that 180 is a full appearance based on what? And this is something that a lot of people have honed in on and that are running with. 180 is full because we get a full body image with the name and character speaking. There is no industry precedent that ever says a full appearance means anything regarding seeing a full body, or that a name needs to be said, or that a character is speaking. That doesn't even apply to a cameo. So what a cameo appearance is, where, we don't see a person from head to toe and they don't speak and we don't know their name. Again, we have a lot of opinions that don't even, when we get down to the root of these words, aren't based in definitive fact. That goes to what I said. What is an opinion if it has no validity? Okay, let's go right in to Vintage Bob's comments, because this is where I feel this conversation really just sets the world on fire, and it makes me question human beings in their approach and their cognitive biases. Let's read what Vintage Bob wrote here. I cannot have more than one first appearance. Now keep in mind, he's simply saying a flat out, point blank first appearance. He's not adding any other context to it. That's a logical impossibility. The first appearance of a character is simply the first time the character appears in a comic book, period. I agree. The first appearance of a character can be a cameo, a brief 1 or 2 panel appearance. So, like Hulk 180 is considered a cameo, just like 299 of Venom is considered a cameo. To the industry, some of you may still disagree with that, but let's for argument's sake, hypothetically, just say, okay, well, we know that the type of appearance that 180 is and ASM 299 is for Venom is different than the following issue because they're in the whole story and all that. So those type of appearances, right, where the character shows up on the back page or the back couple of panels and they're like, boom, here I am. Let's just hypothetically say that those appearances are still the first appearance of the character, right? Because it's the first time you see him. That's the same thing as an Amazing Fantasy 15, right? This is the first time we ever see the character Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Those are, without any other context, the first appearances of those characters, rightfully stated. Now, is the context of how Peter Parker and Spider-Man show up in AF15 much different than how Wolverine and Venom show up in Hulk 180 and ASM 299? Yes. Why? Because Spider-Man exists within the full story of Amazing Fantasy 15. All right, but let's keep reading. So he says the first appearance of a character can be a cameo. Brief 1 or 2 panel appearance, as we see in Hulk 180 with Wolverine. Or it can be a full appearance, as we see with Harpy's first appearance in Hulk 168, in which she is used throughout the story. Now, I use Spider-Man because it's a much more well-known. I mean, Spider-Man's first appearance in Amazing Fantasy 15 is a first full appearance. That's what Vintage Bob is trying to say here. He's differentiating these things. All right, are we taking notes? Now, regardless if you want to use the term cameo, are we all on the same page? These are all first appearances. It's simply that Spider-Man, right, or Harpy show up fully within the pages of their first comic books, okay? Moving on. Michael Storm is wrong. Now, Michael Storm was somebody that was commenting in the post in this video. So again, go watch that video before you finish this one out. A cameo does not imply a known character. Now, it does if we're talking about a theatrical piece. You guys can go research your Merriam-Webster or your Oxford dictionaries. Don't just Google something. Go to your library, get a real dictionary. I mean, it's online too. You can Google it and dig it up. There are multiple definitions for the word cameo. There is a literary definition that has nothing to do with a known character. As he says here, it can be a known or an unknown character. The criteria for a cameo is that it is merely a brief appearance. In most cases in comics, a cameo tends to be a one-panel appearance, often as a cliffhanger at the end of the story to entice people to pick up the next issue and find out who the new character is. Bob continues on. You can differentiate between a first cameo appearance and a first full appearance as far as to indicate a specific thing. A first cameo introduces the appearance of a character, but generally does not tell us much or anything about that character, nor does that character have much interaction in the story. If anything, it's minimal interaction. For example, the second from last panel may show a wall exploding in, and on the final panel we see a character who may say, "I'm Explosion Man," but we learn almost nothing about the character, nor does his nor does he interact with the story as a whole. The cameo is a brief scene of I think you meant to say a single panel, or perhaps a couple of panels. A first full appearance is the first time the character actually interacts with other characters and within the story in a significant way beyond simply being presented as an introduction. This goes back to Copy 801's comment. And I agree with Bob, and I've been saying this for how many years? A full appearance in a comic book has nothing to do with body parts. It has to do with how they are integrated into the story in the pages of that comic book issue in full. They are fully integrated into the story. They are a main character, or if not even a main character, but they have a solid part as a side character throughout the pages of that story. He goes on to say, so the difference between cameo and full appearance is separate from actual first appearance. There is only one first overall appearance, and by definition, that is the issue in which a character is first seen, ever. Cameo versus full is simply a way of describing how much interaction a character has during his first appearance and second appearances. Anyone who considers Hulk 181 to be the first appearance of Wolverine simply does not know what he's talking about. Now, what did he say here? Anyone who considers Hulk 181 to be simply the first appearance of Wolverine doesn't know what they're talking about. I agree. But a simple first appearance is much different than a first full appearance. A first full is just that. It's a first full. It's the first time the character is fully integrated into the story. Hulk 181 is the first time Wolverine is fully integrated into the story. Amazing Spider-Man 300 is the first time Venom is fully integrated into a story, even though we saw him in 2 issues prior. It's as simple as that, folks. But get this, and I'm not going to read through all of these because there's a lot here, and I'm not going to sit here for too long. Doc Reasonable, and the irony of Doc Reasonable's name. Now, Doc Reasonable, it's all love here. You know, much love to you. I appreciate you participating, you know, and sharing your points of views. I will never censor anybody in sharing their points of views, but you know, this argument went nowhere. So Doc Reasonable jumps in and says, cameo does mean a brief appearance of someone well known. And he pulls out a Wikipedia. Now, first off, Wikipedia is not a credible source. You have to vet your information. You have to sift through everything that's on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not a credible source, but what he's pulling here is one definition based on theatrical performances, where, you know, the cameo is based on, it's a shortened, brief guest appearance of a well-known person or character in a work of the performing arts. I mean, it says it right there. Literature is not work of the performing arts. It's just that, literature. And then I go on to say the definition of cameo pertaining to literature from the Merriam-Webster, not Google or Wiki. Here it is, guys. A usually brief literary or filmic piece that brings into delicate or sharp relief the character of a person, place, or event. It has nothing to do with the character being known or an established actor. It has to do with simply a brief appearance of a person, place, or event. There it is. That's fact. That's fact. So let's go back to comic books. Whether you like it or not, and this is what I try to say in this last video I made, it doesn't matter if you like the term. I hate it. I hate that the comic book industry ever coined the term brief for these types of cameo. They should have just stuck with brief. It would have solved a lot more problems, I think. It's simply a brief appearance, period. Whether you like it or not, it's simply a brief appearance. Right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. Now, Doc Reasonable goes on to argue, saying that sometimes there's a blurb on the cover saying, featuring a special guest appearance by, and it's a well-known character. Well, of course, because cameo means brief. It could be a well-known character. It could be a new character. It simply means brief. Doc Reasonable pulls this up. And he says, Here's the official Marvel definition as it pertains to comics. Can't get more authoritative than that. Now, it goes in here and it talks about in the medium of comic books, which doesn't involve theatrical performance. Guys, I'm not even going to read this. You could pause the video. You can read through this comment yourself. Dog Reasonable says that this is the official Marvel definition as it pertains to comics. That is 100% false. Where did Dog Reasonable get this copy and pasted insert? From Wiki. From the Marvel Fandom Wikipedia, which is basically entered by users and fans. This is just somebody's opinion, probably somebody's opinion that is very much in line to everyone else who tries to act like the word cameo just simply doesn't mean brief. Now, is it a thought out transcript? Sure. But it is not an official Marvel definition, and it is not an official textbook definition of the word and of the proper context of the word, period. And that's fact. I think I'm going to read what Bob says here. People like you simply refuse to admit when you're wrong, and I think Bob brings up a very valid point right here. Guys, I love argumentation. I love debate, as long as it's, respectful and, we can shake hands in the end. You guys should know that about me if you watch my channel by now. But I can't fathom how hard-headed we are when it comes to having actual factual data and information to contextualize inform a valid opinion, and people will still argue it till they're blue in the face. Like, I'm going to say water is wet and we're going to go touch it and I'm going to get wet. And they will still sit there and argue that water is not wet, and they will die on that hill. And it's crazy. I want to go to this comment that I said here, and we're about to wrap up, folks. I replied to Dog Reasonable saying this. This is why I don't want to even bring this subject up anymore. In order to check the validity of what is on Wiki, you need to vet the original source of where the information came from. That's all on that matter. Now, to address the blurb you copy and pasted and called it the official Marvel definition. This is not from Marvel, nor a definition. It is merely one blogger's opinion on what they believe to be the best way to describe it. That was submitted to Marvel Fandom Wiki page. And while there is truth to what is stated in terms of the well-known characters appearing in cameos, it doesn't supersede or override that a cameo can also take place with a new character. And again, I personally wouldn't use the term cameo for these, but you can't argue against fact. The bottom line is that I share with you a dictionary definition of the word as it pertains to literature, which includes comic books. And that definition has been around for hundreds of years. That isn't a matter of opinion, but a matter of fact. Secondly, paired with the fact that I just stated, the use of the term in comics simply meaning brief holds precedent that has been around for decades. If you find comic store owners or newsstand owners that were in business in the 70s, they will verify that the term cameo was being used back then for, like Bob stated, any brief appearance, no matter if it's a new or known character. This is also a fact. Continuing on. So, like I said in this video there, you can hate that it's used the way it is. You can hate how the dictionary defines it for literature use. You can wish for different terms to be used instead. All of that is fine, but what you can't do is argue fact. Your opinion does not trump fact, no matter how much you hate the facts or how much you think you want to be right. I say all of this respectfully, and to be so hard-nosed on this as if we're arguing something that is life-saving or life-threatening or is a life-threatening matter is beyond me. I am not here to belittle anyone. I welcome everyone on my channel, and I love hearing different opinions and perspectives. But at the end of the day, how cameo is used in context to comic books isn't a matter of opinion, but a matter of fact. And I've provided enough evidence to show that. I really wish those who hate the use of cameo pertaining to a brief first appearance of new characters could just accept the facts and change the argument to that you just simply want to petition the industry to stop using the term and replace it with simply brief. Because that would solve a lot of problems. But if someone still wants to ignore fact, then there is nothing more I can do. Um, let's see. I'm just gonna read Dog Reasonable's response to me. He says, yes, you're correct. Anyway, I posted the Marvel definition of what a comic book cameo is. More than happy to leave it there, and hopefully the cantankerous vintage Bob will eventually cool off and realize how wrong he is. Doc Reasonable, you did not post the Marvel definition of what a comic book cameo is. This is what I'm talking about, guys. And I said here, but that wasn't the Marvel definition. It was a Marvel fandom wiki post, which is an open forum ran by fans. Just keep that in mind. But your last words are still saying that decades of industry precedent and centuries of dictionary definitions are wrong. And Doc Reasonable goes, it's like, I win. It's about I win and you're muted, and even Bob. But Bob should have just let it be. Doc Reasonable, your name is reasonable, but yet you have been so unreasonable here. And much love to you, sir. But guys, I know I'm probably wasting my breath even doing this video, but the world is ablaze when this, to me, this goes beyond this argument of cameo versus full. It shows a more cultural issue, a cultural phenomenon that is happening. And I think a lot of it has to do with social media and how we interact on social media, and the need to be validated, and the need to be right. I mean, I pulled out every evidence that proves that in literature, which includes comic books, a cameo appearance is defined by simply an appearance of a person, place, or thing showing up briefly. Doesn't matter if they're known or unknown. I told this individual that the blurb that he copy and pasted was a fan wiki post, and he still said, I gave you the official Marvel definition. It goes to show that we don't care about truth. We don't care about facts. We simply want to be right. I'm going to leave you all with this on this subject. Okay? Short and sweet. The definition of cameo pertaining to literature simply means a brief appearance. Period. The word full in comic books does not pertain to body parts or a name being stated or words being spoken, but simply it means that the character is being fully incorporated within the story of that issue. And when people argue it's a first doesn't mean just one thing. It could be a first appearance. It could be a first full appearance. It could be a first team up. And when an overall first appearance of a character shows up on the back panel of a page the first ever time, their second appearance is still going to be their first full appearance because it's the first time they're fully integrated into these stories. And last but not least, these terms have decades of precedent within the comic book industry. So what I want to challenge everyone here today, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I hate that we ever used the term cameo. I would rather we simply use brief. And for first full appearance, some people have said they should just say first full story. I like that better. Clarifies things, in my humble opinion. I would love to hear all of your thoughts on the matter. Have I not presented enough evidence? And if for some reason some of you want to still argue with me, not about opinion, Not about you think these words suck, but you really think that the evidence shown is wrong, which is mind-boggling to me. Please provide credible sources in the comments below. Not an opinion, credible sources of fact. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember one thing, folks. It's comic books. Be well to yourselves. Be kind to others. And until next time.